Well, I think we've learned that the market's changed. I think we've also learned that there's been a lot of investment and stepping back, investment into the risk management tools. People have had to look at their inventories, they've got to look at where they sit within the market, and there's just been a natural dampening down, a change in how people go about trading.
See, I would say, and Karen and I talked about this briefly earlier on, it was one of the few examples of the last 12 months where a central bank has turned around and said, actually, we're going to rig the market less than it is currently rigged. Whereas most central banks, from Japan to the ECB to, I think we saw South Korea, we've seen the Swedes talking about it, everyone, we're going to rig it more. So I kind of looked at it as that point of view.
Well, I think that there was a trend happening. Denmark, Aussie Bank, there was this trend where central banks were starting to say, I'm breaking out from just the standard world approach and I'm going to look at my own economy. I need to stimulate my own economy. And I think that, to be honest with you, I don't think the SMB really thought about what the effect would be of what they did. I think they were just doing what was right for the economy.
This enormous trade without, or decision, without thinking what the ramifications would be.
Well, I think that maybe they didn't give it as much thought as they could have.
Okay.
I think they basically took the approach that we need to stimulate our economy, we need to take the peg off, but I don't think they quite saw what would happen. 30% drop is a big drop.
Your tone suggests that they wanted to turn the music down a little bit, but they ended up ruining the party because they destroyed liquidity, they drove up costs for a lot of investors and changed the perceptions around the Swedish, around the Swiss rather, that they were once predictable but no longer predictable for investors, therefore you potentially don't want to leave your money there.
Well, I think that, I don't know what was in their mind at the time. I do know that as a company for us, such as ADS, one of the things that we have sort of espoused for quite a while now is the fact about risk management. And I think what happens is when you have these changes, when these central banks make a change like this, nowadays you have to be ready. And the problem is that I think a lot of people were caught in the headlights. And, you know, we saw this position in November 2014, and we didn't like it. The reason is because our risk management committee regularly look at what is going on in the market. We look at positions. We spend a lot of time analyzing. Therefore, we were in a position to say, this doesn't look right for us. We don't feel comfortable. I think a lot of people just ran it and ran it and ran it. And then when the SMB decided to make this change, no one was really quite ready. And I think that's one of the problems. We've seen some very big, good companies go to the wall over this.
Some brokerages are telling me that they're not willing to trade too much when it comes to the Swissy now because of the cost of doing business and the risk that is attached to trading the Swissy.
I don't think it's just Swissy. I think what's happened is if you go back in time, let's say last year, you could get 100 people quoting a price and a good spread, say in Eurodollar or in Euro Swissy. Now, even today, you'll get 10. It's because the tier one banks have taken a backward step with regard to risk. In other words, we don't want to play in that. We can't take those positions. So therefore you get what we've had in the last month or so, volatility. Because of the lack of liquidity, you get volatility. So, and that's the problem. It starts feeding itself.